bruh, bruh, bruh. Cave Brawlers. Yeah, this one comes to us from Samuel Arminana. And, it's got a good sense of humor about itself. It looks like the kind of thing that I would really enjoy. But I didn't. I really didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I was fighting the controls the whole way. It just really, it does have controller settings. You can allegedly play with controller. Not mine, unfortunately. And there's a lot to this game. I've looked at the gameplay footage they have on Steam. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. Unfortunately, I never got that far. I didn't. Because I fought the controls through the opening sequence where you go up on a turret and you're killing bats and skeletons, and it's way harder than it needs to be. And then I did the part where you gotta go talk to the king, and then the king is like, oh, go do a thing. And then I had trouble doing the thing because I was fighting the controls the whole way. I wanted to enjoy this because I wanted it to be the kind of, I don't mind janky graphics. I don't mind, silliness for silliness's sake. I'm a big fan of silliness. And it looks like there's a ton of silliness in this game. I just wasn't able to experience it because I was fighting the controls the entire time. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want. And so I'm sorry, Samuel Arminana, whose game I gave a solid, reasonable amount of time to. I played it for 30 minutes. And which is, for these budget games, I don't often pour tons of time into them because I'm trying to crank out these reviews quickly. I'm trying to, get a quick assessment of whether or not the game is fun. Because when you're buying a budget game in this, this rock bottom type of price, you want to be able to just get into the game immediately. And I fought it the whole way. And so I'm sorry. I appreciate what you've done with the game, and I appreciate that it is a game, but gotta tighten up those controls and gotta, figure out how to make it more playable. I think what happens, and I've actually seen this happen with game development, is that when you're the one developing the game, you're also the one who's playing it the most, and therefore, you become comfortable with the control scheme, you become the best player in the world at your little game, but, it doesn't mean that just anyone can pick it up, unfortunately, and I couldn't, and I never got to the cool stuff in the game, because I fought it the whole way. Anyway, so that's a thumbs down from me. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I'm sorry about all the things I give thumbs downs to, unless they're so bad that they make me angry. This one didn't make me angry. It made me sad. Anyway, next game. Okay, so Mega Racers from 2019, Chronos Games. Yeah, I have tried on multiple occasions to get footage of me not being absolute butt monkey at this game. Yeah, it's... I don't know if I suck or if the game sucks, because, the drift mechanic has got me down, because it's either way too much or way too little. It's really hard for me to get a grasp on, to the point where I had to go and play other racing games in my library to assure myself that no, I don't completely suck. Yeah, the controls on this one, even though it supports controllers, and it looks nice. It's got a couple of unlockable characters. It seems reasonably well made, but from all that I can tell, it is no longer supported by its developer, and it's really hard. I'm watching footage of, I don't know, I'm guessing the developer doing this, because they are crushing it at drifting, whereas I'm not the best at drifting. I will admit that. I tend to, in racing games, drift sparingly. Just a touch around really tight corners to help me get around a little bit faster, but I don't normally go, full drift, Tokyo style. Not normally my thing. But yeah, this game, it drives me crazy because it seems like it should be better than it is. I have won races in this game, but yeah, mostly it just makes me upset. So I'm going, and apologies, you haven't seen a thumbs up yet. The thumbs up is way less disturbing. I'm going thumbs down on this one as well. Sorry, Chronos Games. Could have been better. Could have been better. Because I swear, I went to my other racing games in my library, one of which I've reviewed before, and one of which I haven't reviewed yet, which has a much better drifting mechanic, which you'll see sometime soon. Anyway, but yeah, I don't completely suck, which leads me to believe that this game is not quite fully baked. Okay, so it's a long way to the top if you want to be a CEO, and as we know from reality, in order to be a CEO, you should be a sociopath or a psychopath, because that's what a lot of CEOs are, because that helps you get to the top without, caring about people. Anyway, it's true. I'm not just making this up. You can look it up. Anyway, but yeah, I do enjoy the social commentary of this game as someone who is not happy with capitalism and what it's given us. I do enjoy that vibe. You're a lowly dude in a company. You're just trying to make photocopies, but you need a necktie. And so you go and steal one from the research and development lab. And then it gives you powers. It's an interesting thing because what the game does, you collect these things called egos every time you die to a new enemy. And also, every time you take 3 damage from an enemy, you absorb that enemy's power. If they're shooting at you with a gun, all of a sudden you can shoot bullets. If they're punching you in the face, all of a sudden you can punch them in the face. It makes it, it's kind of Kirby-ish in that way. It feels a little rogue-lite-ish in that way, but yeah, it's mostly just an action platformer beat-em-up type of game. And, it's got a lot of flaws. It does. It's way too easy to take damage. It's hard to beat up dudes. It's hard to get a feel for how to, do decently at the game. A little bit of a learning curve. But this reminds me of the type of game back when you used to get those discs of 20,000 Windows games or whatever, and you would go through and it's 19,990 of them are different versions of Solitaire and Mahjong. But then there would be a couple of games that you'd be oh, I'm gonna play this for a bit. And that's what this was. I actually played it for a bit and was all right, it's a game. which is more than I could say for the other ones that I have reviewed thus far, which were super frustrating to me. So this one is getting the first thumbs up. Yes, it is a game. I would be less happy with it if I paid $3 for it, which is the going rate, but I paid a lot less than that, so huzzah! Alright, so Blackbeard The Cursed The Cursed Jungle. No, I was right the first time. Yeah, this game is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Imagine a game that would be boring for a, 3-year-old iPad kid. And that is what this game is. Less interesting than Red Ball. Less interesting than, I don't know, just about any of those fakey fake, not even a real games that you see in ads. Because this is terrible. It looks like a mobile game, first of all. It plays like garbage. It has some of the worst hit detection I have ever seen in my entire life. It's hard to know when you're hitting enemies, and so it's best to just jump over them because they are so ploddingly slow, and their AI is such that if you're not immediately on top of them, they won't even attempt to attack you. So literally, there are launch titles on the NES that have better enemy AI than this. So yeah, it's garbage. It's incredible that somebody could make a game this bad in this day and age, but they went and did it. They definitely went and did it. This is what you get when you go dig into the bottom of the barrel in the world of Steam games. And yeah, this was a frustration pick for me. I didn't even expect to like this game. I expected to dislike it because it's I needed to fill out my 10 games that I normally get. I ended up getting more than 10 games. I didn't need to get this. I didn't need to review it. And honestly, we all would have been better off if I hadn't. So, thumbs down super hard. Okay, so Escape from the Lostmoon. One word, Lostmoon. Anyway, this game is kind of hilarious. Yeah, you play with the arrow keys like an old DOS game, and it's jank as all jank. It is one of the jankiest things I've ever played, but it's funny. It's a silly game. It reminds me quite a bit of the type of things that my friends and I would be making in our computer programming class. Like, our teacher would give us these real simple, here, make a program that sorts this bank data and whatnot. And we'd do that in 5 minutes. And then we'd have the rest of the hour to just be like, okay, I remember I made a game that was it was stick people, and it had 1 million bad deaths for stick people. Yeah, and a bunch of people made a bunch of really weird games with really weird senses of humor. This reminds me of that. This feels like somebody's computer programming course game where this was probably the best game in the class. And everybody played it, was like, oh, you should put this on Steam. And, there are games like that on Steam. And I recognize that the dude, Sergey something or other, who put this together, he intentionally put a lot of, care into it. You pass that first astronaut, you hear about we can't get out and whatnot. You're meeting giant cockroaches and zombies and weird cave monsters and stuff right off the bat. and the controls are janky. It's hard to not die. Um, but and it's glitchy. I got stuck like halfway between you know, levels and whatnot. It just halfway between platforms, and it, yeah, but it's still like there's a certain charm to it. I will say this. I'm going to give it a thumbs down. I do not recommend that you buy this game, but I'm also like most of the I do not recommend this game games I hide in my library so I don't have to look at all of the trash that I've collected over the years. I'm not doing that to this game because I might come back to it and play it because there's a certain je ne sais bad that it's like bad good. That's what this game is. It's bad good. Or good bad. It's the good kind of bad. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it more than I should have. Thumbs down, but like really want to give it a thumbs up. All right, Metal Voyager just came out this year. It's a side-scrolling shooter in which you play an old dude who shoots with the power of his rock and roll, which, yeah, if you watch old, like, metal videos and stuff, that is exactly in line with how things should be. Anyway, it's reasonably difficult. And yeah, if you've heard me talk about this before, I'm way better at vertical shooters than I am at horizontal shooters. But man, this is a really good shooter. Not just for a budget shooter, but like really good shooter, end of sentence. Like, it's got a lot of charm. First of all, rockin' soundtrack. Second of all, like crazy psychedelic out there art style that reminds me of like two things. Number one, all those like crazy hot rod shirts people used to wear, and secondly, it reminds me of like you know, trapper keeper doodles that guys who were really into metal back in the day used to make. So yeah, it's got the vibe. Absolutely, it's got the vibe. And yeah, you can shoot forwards, you can shoot backwards. There are weapon power-ups very, very interspersed throughout the level. One of the things I don't like about the game as much is that, first of all, your projectiles and the enemy projectiles are often the same color, that same light blue. And so it's hard to, you know, find your way through it first. But once it's not that hard. Once you get the hang of it, you're like, okay, I got it. When you shoot forward, it's blue. When you shoot backward, it's yellow. And yeah, when you first start the level, you're like, why am I going to need to shoot backwards? All of these enemies are in front of me. But the farther you make it into the game, the more that shooting behind you becomes a very important thing. And, you know, there's a good array of enemies. At first, it feels samey, but then you get deeper into the game and you're like, oh, there's a bunch of different types of dudes. And yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot here in this game. And so it's surprisingly good. Surprisingly good at this price point. And, you know, it's $1.99 normally. And I would be absolutely happy with this game if that's what I paid for it. For sure. Like, absolutely. You know, I think it paid like 59 cents, 79 cents. I forget where. This was one that I found later in the dig, and so I may have paid like up to 69 cents, bruh, or whatever. But like, worth it. Absolutely worth it. This is the best game that I have played in the Budgestravaganza thus far. It's really cool. And yes, some of the things it doesn't tell you right off the bat that you can pick up the little birds and they will act as like a side weapon and whatnot, but like you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. Like the game doesn't hold your hand and it assumes you'll figure it out. More than anything, it's like a trippy, fun metal rock experience, and just flying through the air as an old metal dude, like it just, I don't know, there's something about it that I just cannot help but absolutely love. It's great. This is a, like, I love this game. I love this game, and this is the one I'm going to end this video on, because this is what I do it for. This is why I go digging in the endless morass of horrible nonsense. Like, I was so burnt out by the time I found my 10 games this year. I couldn't anymore. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this ever again. This seems terrible. And my God, this game is superb. It really is. You know, and not just as a budget game. I mean, yes, as a budget game, but like, this is a really good shooter. So if you like really good shooters, this got a lot going for it. No user reviews? Are you serious? I gotta write a user review on this right now. I love this game. Anyway, so if I didn't say it, obviously this is a thumbs up for me, because I don't think I said it. Hard thumbs up. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, people. I will be reviewing the rest of the Steam games that the Budgestravaganza games that I picked up in the very near future. Watch for that video sometime. We've reached the point in the summer where time has become meaningless, and not only do I not know, you know, Monday from Saturday, I also don't know day from night. That is the joy of being a teacher, people. That is one of the only things that feels like a method of compensation. Anyway, people, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.